हाय फ्रेंड्स। आपने मेरा बजट 2025 रिव्यू पार्ट 1 देखा, उसका शायद आपने डेंटल ट्रिब्यून साउथ एशिया में भी हेल्थ केयर वर्जन का रिव्यू पढ़ा होगा। आई एम हेयर टू डाइसेक्ट इट फर्दर इन पार्ट 2 ऑफ बजट। ऑफ कोर्स बजट आपको लगेगा कि अब 1.5 महीना हो चुका है, व्हाट डू वी नीड फर्दर फ्रॉम दैट। एज आई मेंशन इन वीडियो 1 और रिव्यू पार्ट ऑफ द बजट दैट आई विल बी डाइसेक्टिंग द income tax bill which the government said that it'll be announcing. Of course, in the next week after budget was presented on 1st of Feb. It was supposed to present in the next week, but then in the PM's US visit with Trump happened and everything was delayed. So finally, the ITB or the Income Tax Bill 2025 was put up in Lok Sabha on 13th of Feb. So had a couple of issues at my end starting 21st of Feb, so I could not make a video on this, and of course the GST. Both of them are coming today. The budget video, the next day the GST, then next day the questions followed by that. So stay tuned for that. Every day a video comes on our channel at 7:30 a.m. whether you're watching it or not, but that is a video for the dentist community only, and of course for all other doctors as well. So kindly let me share my presentation so that I can begin the proceedings and tell you the dissection of the budget part 2. What exactly has the new income tax bill in store for all of us? I'm sure you must have heard, read, or watched videos on this, but what I am going to present before you are the subtle changes. So, as usual, all my presentations always begin with thanking the Lord Almighty who's given me much more than what I deserve. And of course, big thanks is due to my dad as well, who has been instrumental in teaching me the clinical part of finance. And of course, this is my brief CV that gives me a bit of authority to divulge a bit on this topic. So I'm sure I'm gonna be quickly going through all the changes that have been introduced as a part of the presentation in my video number 323, live video number 323, of course. So what are the changes for us? The first thing, this new ITB or Income Tax Bill 2025 comes into force from next financial year, 1st April 2026, and not the financial year which starts in almost 12 days time, 12 days time on 1st of April 2025. So this is at least 1 year and a few days away. And of course, let me give you 20 changes and a few bonus ones which are going to be implemented in this ITB part or the ITB 2025. The first thing is it has been always an ambiguity about what is a assessment year and what is a financial year. Many of the participants of my workshop also get confused even after being trained for them. So what the government has done is that they have introduced the concept called as tax year, and the year will be known as from the year when it begins. For example, 1st April 24 to 31st March 25 is technically 24-25, is, year 2024-25, but that will be known as tax year 24 since it began in April 2024. So the first thing to previous year, financial year, assessment year, all has been done away. Now I'll be henceforth saying the word used as tax year. So the number 2 change which has been introduced is there has been no change in the financial year, as was the common sentiment that maybe from April to March the year would be changed to the calendar year from Jan to December. Of course, it was the reality in a few either of the late 90s or the early 2000s. For a couple of years, the year changed from January to December, but as of now, for now, it will continue from April 1 to March 31. So number 3 change is the change in the structure of drafting the income tax bill, and the subsection clauses all have been comprehended for an easy reading. All of them are not scattered now, but all are at one place. So the number 4 change is there has been a change in the sections numbering. For example, the ITR section filing was ITR 1 section number 139. The NTR, the new tax regime, was section 115 BAC, and correspondingly these have changed to 263 and 202 respectively, similar to the Indian Penal Code section which changed to the Bharat Nyaya Sanhita or the BNS as it is known as. So similarly, it has been changed now. So number 5 change in the ITB 2025 is that there is no major change in the tax laws. Of course, the tax laws are mentioned in the budget itself. So the government has not made any changes in that. It plans to stick to the NTR. The NTR stays the default, but the old tax regime has not gone away fully, since the government introduced a few of the deductions as well, and the NPS Vatsalya also last year. So the plans are to continue with OTR for at least some time now. How much time, we don't know. So let's see how things go. The number 6 change in the ITB is it has been made more comprehensive. So the current Income Tax Act 1961 has 47 chapters. The new one, ITB, will have 23 chapters, almost half. 819 sections in the 1961 Act, 536 sections, approximately two-thirds, and 5.12 lakh words, and this is now 2.6 lakh words, almost words slashed into half. So you can see that the simplicity has been done. Of course, 1200 provisions and 900 explanations have been removed, so that either they are redundant or they have been made it to simplify the current act. So the number 7 change is that for the government employees, no entertainment allowance deduction has been done. And of course, it will come into force starting April 1, 2026. They will not be getting an entertainment allowance as a salary deduction expense. Number 8 is basically there is no change in the residency laws. The year number of days for stay 182, 183 will stay continue to stay the same. To have been recognized as a citizen of India, for you need to have that much amount of stay to file a return for the business income generated from here. Of course, change number 9 is basically the TDS compliance. All of that has been brought together under a single table, and it has been made simple. But of course, for reporting purposes, it will cause a little more headache later on. But that's it. That is the situation right now. Number 10 change has been the ITR filing deadlines stay the same, 31st July for all of us. The audited returns on 31st of October, and of course, any transfer process 30th November, but otherwise with delayed penalty 31st December and another further delayed penalty 31st of March. But as of now, the regular filing date for non-audit cases stays 31st July, and for audit cases stays 31st October. Number 11 change has been, of course, the removal of obsolete provisions like ATCCF infrastructure bonds, or the RGESS, or the ATCCA, and the deduction for investment in NSS. All these have been done away with. Almost 300 obsolete and redundant laws have been removed. Number 12, of course, the lineage, any donation, any gifts passed on by maternal or paternal relatives from your spouse or in-law side, all are tax exempt. Otherwise, the amount, anything above 50,000 is taxable, but this is what has been done in this ITB 2025. Number 13 change has been, of course, the penalty, stricter penalty has been introduced for section 276 triple C. And of course, if in such cases you fail to furnish a return, it has been proposed to be added as a cognizable offense. And of course, there will be rigorous punishment, and 6 months and 7 years. 6 months is the minimum punishment and 7 years is the maximum, with a fine as well. Number 14 change has been, of course, more powers have been given to CBDT, and CBDT can ask you for details. And basically, the process was earlier through the parliament, they used to had power provision to be given an additional power, but now CBDT has been given enough powers. Of course, this is a double-edged sword. It can be used, if used properly, can actually increase and widen the tax base. But if not, the abuse can lead to what in our country. Of course, number 15, tax-free perquisites for salary employees for vehicles have been tweaked. Any employee or employer, private or government, who was given the reimbursement, this will not be added to the CTC or the income of the employee. It stays only as a reimbursement and stays tax-free in the hands of employee. Earlier, it used to be taxable or added as a CTC by the companies. So number 16, which is a thing that, of course, this is a proposed thing. The income tax department will have the legal authority to break into your social media accounts, personal emails, bank accounts, online investment accounts, trading accounts. In actuality, they will have more power, more than this. May be akin to a breach of privacy. But the problem is that to have more power in their hands, it's basically like, as they say, these days people don't buy cars. They buy the unveiling video. They buy the car to have the unveiling video. So we are living in a moronic world where our population is actually chasing the vanity matrix rather than chasing value-based matrix. That is where the problem comes. So number 17 change is, of course, business connection income attribution. It'll be arising if you have a connection from India only, and it actually has the potential to increase the tax base. Number 18 change has been the VDAs, the virtual digital assets. Till now, they were not defined in the Income Tax Act 1961. Now they have been defined. What is included in this? The cryptocurrencies and the NFTs, the non-fungible tokens. So whatever you can call it, these have the potential. If you don't disclose it, they are straight away taxed at 30%. If not disclosed, they have the potential to be charged at a higher price. And similarly brings me to point number 19. As I said, if the VDAs are not disclosed, virtual digital assets, they will attract the highest tax rate of 78%. Flatly they charge 30, but with a penalty they are 78%. So you need to mention, you need to know about what exactly is there. And the last thing which has been introduced in the ITB 2025 is that TDS compliance has been introduced, as I said, under three clear heads: residents, non-residents, or payment to any other person. And of course, the low TDS certificates are also available. And this is how the ITB is in a process to get on the way from 1st April 2026. But this is not the end. Let me give you a few tips as a bonus as well. Of course, section 185 cash receipts, any receipts above 2 lakhs in cash in a single day on loan deposits and some related to real estate transactions cannot be above rupees 2 lakh in a day. Earlier in our clinic also, we used to have those transactions at 1 lakh or at 2 lakhs, but now this has changed in point number 22, section 186. Now you cannot receive more than 1 lakh in a single day from a single individual. To better be on safe, better anything above 1 lakh, if you are doing FMR, multiple implants, you should be charging in a digital mode. That is what the intent behind this is. So I'm sure you get a clarity on this. So what is the conclusion of this? So the conclusion is that the ITPs basically has a reduced size, fewer sections, clear language, modern format, and of course simplified structure. And of course it has a reader-friendly interface and references, as you can see in this in the different sub clauses, subsections which have been mentioned and named in a different way. So the carry home gyan for today is that the changes in personal taxation, of course, exemptions are now consolidated into salary provisions. Vehicles, I already mentioned that they will be counted as a tax-free income. COVID-19 benefits of ex gratia payments have been removed, which were given as a part of the people who deceased or were sick during COVID and got a medical thing. Of course, medical certificates for benefits for people who were opting for disability, 75%, 50%, or whatever percentage, they have been removed. And of course, more comprehensive returns, search and seizure, you can say rights have been given. Of course, survey operations and the dispute resolution panel, which can pass recent orders. Of course, it may be taking its route in the next 13 months, 12 and a half months. First, a parliamentary committee will review the bill, and of course, then they will submit the report, hopefully before the beginning of the monsoon 2025 session. And of course, government will consider recommendations and make revisions if needed. या government को कुछ दिमाग में ना आया तो वो भी डालेंगे. Of course, the revised bill will be passed from both houses of Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and then the presidential assent for the bill to become law. So I hope you understand. And what is the moral of the story? Basically, it is a roadmap towards simplifying India's tax code. And of course, the aim is to have broader tax base and not only rely on 2 or 2.5 crore individuals who pay tax. Of course, returns are filed by 7 to 8 crore people, but tax is paid by 2 to 2.5 crore people only in India. It is not wise that 150 crore people living and only 8 crore out of them are earning, and about only 2.5 are earning below the above the, you can say, the specified benchmark or the deadline. So I hope this gives you clarity. So with this I finish this video. Any queries, any questions, please do post. And as I said, my video on GST will be coming tomorrow, followed by the queries posted in the previous video part 2. So part 2 and part 3 of the GST video will be coming tomorrow and day after tomorrow. So stay tuned and have a better clarity for that. Bye bye. Thank you. Take care. and I see you another video of mine very, very soon. Bye bye.